This video is going to be reviewing the ASWB exam changes that are going to be occurring in 2024. So if you want to just skip to that part in the video, there's a timestamp right here. But if not, I'll give you a little bit more information. I'll go over the exam changes, and at the tail end of the video, there'll be some motivation to allow for yourself to build yourself up to become the best possible version of yourself. So sit back, relax, and let's see what we got. Hey guys, it's Phil coming back at you with another video! Today, I'm back, I'm excited, I'm pumped up, hopefully I'm doing well, practicing self-care and letting one thought, one situation, one person take them outside of what they know to be true. You're doubling down, doing exactly everything that you can, building yourself up, becoming the best possible version of yourself, to do the next right thing, to go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. And I know 42 people that did just that, then went in the exam, kicked it directly in the chest and got the job done, and they are as follows: Victoria C, Melissa C, Rosemary E, Jalen B, Steve H, Deborah P, Karen B, Lauren G, Logan R, Tara R, Jennifer R, Marla L, Allison D, Elma E C, Crystal O, Paige L, Taylor M.A.S, Manna M, Destiny B, Rachel C, Jacqueline B, Charlize S, D, Rachel W, Morgan M, Angela S, Mavo S, Stormy D, Jameek C, Jess, Amy M, David L, Marie F, Emily A, Kelly E, Ricardo R, Bria Z, Jasmine J, Desiree C, Shanam S, Arlie O, Tyrone C, and Caitlin T. And I'm so excited, man, because so many people on that list were like, man, Phil, I'm not even sure if I should take the exam. I'm not even sure if I should even be a social worker. I'm ready to just leave the field. I've taken the exam so many times, I can't even count. I'm not even sure if what I'm doing is right anymore. Man, I'm wondering if they're going to abolish the ASWB exam, so I'm not even sure what's going on. But a lot of people on that list doubled down, did the next right thing, let go of the shortcuts, let go of all the buzzwords, let go of all the things that weren't serving them, and gave them exactly what they deserved: to go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest, get the job done, and get a life sentence to live in the life that they want to see for themselves. If you went in the exam, kicked it directly in the chest while repping and rocking with me as well, you can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, and I'll add your name to the shout out list in order to get your name shout out of going in the exam, destroying it, and killing it, and doing the next right thing. And if you're like, man, Phil, I'm going to rep and rock with you as well, the easiest way to do so is to go to my Sunday study groups, the Thought Provoking Thursdays, individual tutoring sessions, or the one-day course. And before I get into that, this video is going to be reviewing the exam changes for 2024, and we'll be getting into that, what those actually are. The next Sunday study groups coming up are as follows: 827 practice questions. They'll go over the types of questions that you can see on the exam, the myths that people spread about the exam, tips that I find most helpful, and then going through practice questions. And as I always say, do not expect to get every single question correct as you're going into these sessions, because the questions I construct tend to be more difficult than the ones on the actual exam. So come in the sessions curious, become open-minded, and allow for yourself to learn from every single question. To go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. The next one after that is 9.3 DSM-5 children. So going over DSM-5 diagnosis for children in different ways to conceptualize each of them, not memorize anything, but be able to recognize and apply it to questions, and then review and practice questions related to those. The next one after that is 9.10 acronym and practice questions. So going over the acronyms: safety, feelings, assess, refer, educate, advocate, facilitate, and intervene. The types of questions that you can see on the exam, myths that people spread about the exam, the 6-step process that I recommend every single person utilize as they're breaking down the questions, going over tips that I find most helpful, and then going through practice questions. And as I always say, do not come to the sessions expecting to get every single question correct. Come to the sessions with an open mind and trying to understand what in particular that you can see in order to learn how to become the best possible version of yourself. The next one after that is 9.17 community interventions, and that is going to be going over the types of community organizing efforts that you can see, advocacy, the types of and stages of community organizing, case management, different concepts, not memorizing anything, but ways to recognize and apply them, and going over practice questions related to those. The next one after that is 9.24 DSM-5 adults, so going over the personality disorders, the schizophrenia spectrum, bipolar 1 versus bipolar 2 disorders, the medications, and practice questions related to those. And as I always say, do not come to these sessions expecting to memorize anything, but be able to recognize and apply it So that way, when you're on the exam, you're not like, you know what, I've seen this concept before, but I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing, because the sessions are here to help you understand information and break down practice questions, go on the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. And the sessions are Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. So they're 4, 5, 6 hours long. And if you're not able to attend the sessions live or are not able to attend the sessions at all, the sessions are recorded. So when you register for the sessions, you will be sent the recording and the materials to review at your own leisure. And if you're like, man, Phil, there are study groups that I want to review that are not on this list, you can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, and I'll give you a list of the previously recorded study groups that I have. If you want to register for the Sunday study groups, you can go to my calendar at fillinthegaps.as.me or send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, and I'll send you information related to those. I do still offer individual tutoring sessions where you can directly interact with me, review practice questions, go over concepts, go over test anxiety, stressors, different ways to develop your process, etc. So the individual tutoring sessions, you can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com or click the link down below in the description, which is going to be the view more under the title, or just go to my website at fillinthegaps.as.me, as well as the next Thought-Provoking Thursday sessions. The Thought-Provoking Thursday sessions are strictly practice questions. So if you're like, man, Phil, I want to see more about your difficult practice questions, the Thought-Provoking Thursday sessions are the easiest way to be able to do so. The Thought-Provoking Thursday sessions are 4 to 5 hours long. That is just going strictly over practice questions, breaking it down, tearing it apart. These are first, next, best, most, and should, or application and reasoning questions to give you more exposure. And the Thought-Provoking Thursdays have been super duper helpful for people to conceptualize questions in a different manner. And you just strictly are like, you know what, Phil, I know that breaking down questions is the most difficult thing for me. The Thought-Provoking Thursday sessions are what I would recommend. The next ones coming up are as follows: 8:31, 9:07, 9:14, and 9:21. As well as the next Monday course is going to be on September 30th. And the one-day course has been the most successful thing that I've ever done, because it's, one, giving you the most amount of time with me, two, the most amount of information that I possibly can give, and also the most difficult practice questions that I typically am able to write, because I want to give you as much as I possibly can, because it's more of an investment on your end, more time, and give you a lot more information. The next one-day course, as I stated, is on 9:30 from 11 a.m. Eastern time until they kick us out. That session's 12, 13, 14 hours long, depending on how long it needs to be. And the session reviews the tips that I found most helpful for people to keep in mind as they're preparing for it and going to the exam, kicking it directly in the chest to get that job done. Most common reasons why people fail the exam, because what better way to understand what not to do than the experiences that people have had before. I'm breaking down a handful of topics: subpoena versus court order, referral versus supervision, operant conditioning, going over the stages of community organizing, going over the personality disorders, going over the medications, going over the acronym, going over the 6-step process, going over practice questions that tie it all together. In the one-day course, if you're struggling, man, I'm not really sure what I should be doing, Phil, or man, I'm not sure if I have enough information, or man, I've taken the exam before and I've failed and I'm not sure what I should do, the one-day course is what I would recommend that you start with, because it gives you the most amount of information and gives you that charge up and allow for you to build yourself up to go in the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. If your exam is prior to 9:30, you can send me an email at berda24@gmail.com, and I will send you information on how to get a previously recorded session. As well as, for those that do not know, Audible's continuing to partner with me on my YouTube videos and my podcast. So if you want to support me, so let's support them, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fillinthegaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial. Audible is an easy way to get information on the go. So if you're busy just like me and you still want to become the best possible version of yourself, Audible is the easiest way to be able to do so. Again, if you want to support me, go to my Audible affiliate link at www.audibletrial.com/fillinthegaps. Sign up for the 30-day free trial or click the link down below in the description, which is the view more under the title. And there are a couple of books that I would recommend that you get with the Audible free trial if you're going to sign up for it: The Alchemist, The Archer, UOU, and The Power of Habit. Each of them are going to have lessons and blessings to allow for you to not just progress professionally, but also personally to become the best possible version of themselves. And from the bottom of my heart, appreciate every single one of you guys that have already signed up for the Audible free trial. And if you haven't already, hit the like down below. It's a thumbs up button down below that is going to allow for you to show other social workers that you like it, but also allows for other amazing social workers just like you to rep and rock with me as well. Drop a comment down below about your thoughts about the 2024 exam changes, about anything that's going on in your exam preparation, or if you go on the exam, kicked it directly in the chest to get that job done. I appreciate every single one of you that comments down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification next to it, because it'll send you an email every single time that I upload a video. And if you haven't already, check out my podcast at Fill in the Gaps on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. And it allows for you to get other pieces of information that are not in my YouTube videos. And based on the title of the video, you're going to see that the 2024 exam changes are coming up. So at this moment, people are like, man, Phil, what does the changes mean? Or man, I just noticed that the changes. So the changes just came out not too long ago. They came out on 8/23, and the exam changes, for those that are like, man, Phil, I want the fast reason and not really have to watch the rest of the video. The exam changes are that the ASWB are stepping away from Pearson VUE, who are the current people that are administering the exam. Also, potential scholarship opportunities for people that have failed the exam multiple times. Not a lot of information released based on that, but also potential at-home exams are going to be offered later in 2024. So I'm going to peel that back, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts based on these changes. So sit back and we'll see what we got and take it from there. So as I already stated, the ASWB recently announced that there are going to be changes coming. So on the ASWB website, if you scroll under the exam, test administration changes coming in 2024. So as I had already told you, the majority of the update is essentially that they're just changing from Pearson VUE to PSI, and all that is really going to do is allow for individuals to have just different testing experiences. However, it's not as big of changes as we think. So as we're going through this, we'll just navigate the different pieces of information they're giving, and then I'll provide some insight on my thoughts of what the changes are. So based on this, if you click this, ASWB is excited to be partnering with the PSI for test administration, it's going to open this tab, and we'll go over that. And the information that we want to keep in mind is that if you're planning to take the exam within December, you want to be really mindful of these dates, because there is not going to be any availability between December 16th and December 31st. And a lot of times people are not trying to take the exam during that time anyway, just due to the holidays. But just being mindful that if your exam expiration and stuff is coming up within that December, there are going to be some options and steps that you can take, but just being mindful that the testing is not going to be available from the 16th to the 31st. And that's where testing is then going to be starting back on January 2nd. So they're giving you the holidays off to just kind of relax and not study. And based on that, if somebody would prefer to test with Pearson VUE by December 15th, you're still going to schedule your exam the same way that you normally would. And based on this, and this is where a lot of my thoughts are going to come from, the exam questions and scoring will not change. They will remain the same. No matter when you take the exam is going to remain the same. So don't get yourself revved up and throwing yourself around of like, you know what, this is going to make the exam easier, Phil, or man, maybe I should wait, or da-da-da-da. It's going to stay the exact same. So don't get yourself caught up into a tizzy. So based on this, if you're unable to test before your registration expiration, so if your licensure or your authorization expires prior to the December 16th and it's going to lead you to not be able to take the exam, you can request an extension. So what that extension is going to be, we'll go over how you actually do that as well. In addition to that, they're going to start partnering with, there is going to be online testing availability and technical requirements when this option becomes available. So based on that, a lot of times during COVID, people are like, man, how come we can't take the exam at our comfort of our own home? Well, now that possibility is going to be available, but not immediately, later in 2024. So again, as you know, I don't like to be like, you know, this is coming immediately, because I want to prepare you for what is actually going to occur. So later in 2024. So this is going to be in the distant future, not like, you know, I'm going to be able to do it January 2024. So preparing that it is going to become an option, but I have some thoughts related to that as well. But in addition to that, making sure that the changes are not going to be as impactful as people traditionally are going to think. So not just skipping all around. So if you're like, Phil, I want to understand how to do the extension. So you would click on the link of getting an extension, and you've always been able to get an extension, and a lot of people don't know that. So what you're able to do is, if any circumstances prevent you from taking the exam prior to your authorization, you can be granted up to 6 months of grace period in order to be able to still take the exam and not have any circumstances circumvent you from being able to do so. You must submit the form within 30 days of being able to get through this, but also you want to just fill out the form. You want to make sure that your state authorizes it, which I think every single state is going to. So you just go through all of the states that are available. You would just put the circumstance, you'd put other, and just put, hey, changes of the ASWB exam. And then you would just click I understand, and then you're going to hit submit, and then they'll get back to you and tell you whether you're able to extend it or not. So making sure that these changes don't just get in front of your way. So now if we click on this option of the ASWB is excited to partner with it, it just gives us more information about what this partnership is going to be about. So again, PSI is just similar going to be to what Pearson VUE was. So it's not that impactful of a change, because a lot of times people are like, man, huge changes are coming. The ASWB is going to outlaw the exam and everything is going to be massively different. But if we look at this, PSI looks just like Pearson VUE. So going through this, PSI is a leading test person, Early 2024, this is going to be coming out. The partnership is going to be based on the initiatives of leveraging both of their focuses of transparency, outcomes, accessibility, inclusivity. So all the jargon that you'd traditionally expect for the ASWB or any systems of bureaucracy to kind of announce. So it's not anything different that we're able to see. So based on this, the ASWB licensure exam plays a critical role in advancing safe, competent, and ethical practices to strengthen public protection and to solidify social work as a profession. So based on that, like I have always been telling people, the exam isn't here to punish us. The exam is to make sure that we aren't going to lose credibility within our profession, but also making sure that you understand the practices that are going to be implemented. And that is going to be based on what the CEO is telling us. And ASWB selection is based on all these different pieces of criteria. And again, nothing new about this of like, you know what, Pearson VUE was related to the exam results that were not as positive. Let's just twist testing sites so that way we can have a fresh slate of our testing results. But again, the exam has not changed. So the disadvantages or the oppressive measures, but all of these discriminatory things and disparities are still going to exist, regardless of whether the Pearson VUE or PSI is the one that's administering the exam. But based on this, they say that they're continuing to accurately and fairly measure competency for the social work profession. The senior director is telling us that we also want to be intentional about addressing financial impact on repeat test takers as they pursue licensure, which is why we are so eager to have PSI support. So the ASWB is not going to do it on their own, but they're like, you know what, if PSI puts in some funds, we'll put in some funds as we implement meaningful changes that reflect the ongoing commitment to fairness, inclusivity, and equal opportunities. And again, I have a lot of thoughts about this because the ASWB, they could have just stroked a check on their own and they could have just provided some financial scholarships or financial assistance with this, but again, they want to have it in connection with the new PSI, so PSI gets a good reputation right off the get-go. I get that, but at the same time, the ASWB could have been implementing this stuff way long ago, but I digress. But based on this, the two organizations will pursue initiatives to design and support candidates' paths to licensure, including the development of a scholarship fund for repeat test takers. And again, I question, how many times does somebody have to be able to take the exam in order to qualify for the scholarship? How much money is going to be dedicated to this? Is this something that's ongoing? Because as a social worker, I'm well aware that systems and programs can be developed, but then they are abandoned after the publicity is gone. So recognizing that financial realities can hinder candidates' pursuit of professional goals, ASWB and PSI have been pledged to contribute a fund for future outreach to and support test takers, particularly those from historically marginalized communities. So that would beg the question, what are they going to categorize as historically marginalized communities? Because as we all know, all of us possess different social identities, and each social identity is going to have some impact on how we navigate the world, but also just because certain social identities have more oppression and have been marginalized further does not mean that there are other circumstances that should be put into play as well. So I want to be aware of what are the actual criteria that they're going to be selecting and what makes one person more eligible than another person. And is there a point in time where they are only going to provide a certain amount of assistance? Is this something that's going to be in perpetuity? Etc. Because again, I'm not shooting it down and being like, man, this is a terrible thing, they're offering financial assistance, but I'm also somebody that comes from that angle of like, okay, so I need to make sure that we understand who's going to qualify for it, and if somebody's not going to qualify for it, what is that going to do for their own mental health, and also what is that going to do for them when they're like, you know what, how much struggling do I have to do in order for me to get assistance? But based on this, PSI is a thrilled to partner with the ASWB. We want to support the examination program's continued journey and all these different executions. So the exam is not going anywhere. They're just trying to make adaptations to this in the best way that they possibly can. So in preparation for the administration, PSI is going to do full test development, psychometrics of the evaluation of the ASWB exams, highlight key areas of excellence, and identify places where they can have greater inclusion, and all these particular things. So based on this, they just hired a company to evaluate the results that they did with the research study, and they're going to have them come in and identify what are some things that can be done differently. So based on this, the PSI will begin administering the ASWB or social work licensure exam and its 475 licensing testing sites across the United States, early 2024. Remember, January 2024 is when this bad boy is going to be thrown into place, with a remote testing option being available through the secure proctoring later in the year. So there's not a date on when this is going to occur, but I'll get into what the online proctoring will look like, because I like to be thorough and not just throw information of like, what, this is an option. So based on this, during the transition, registered people will receive an email from ASWB with the next steps with more information. In PSI, they have their description. Again, it's just like Pearson VUE. I'm not really going to get into that because at the end of the day, all the testing people are about to say, honestly, you go to the testing site, you take the exam, and that's it. So based on that, it's not that profound as I stated before. So PSI, just replacing Pearson VUE, nothing different about that. There's going to be a scholarship fund, which is going to provide some hope, but at the same time, what are the criteria? What are the requirements? How much money? How long is it going to be there? Is this just a thing to get them off the ground and get a good reputation for PSI and the ASWB? Or is this something that there's going to be ongoing support related to it? And then the online proctoring. So you might be saying, well, Phil, online proctoring is an awesome thing. Well, let's look at what PSI's online proctoring is. And all I did was go to their website, scroll down, and then went to their frequently asked questions. So PSI Testing Center regulations, live proctored. So this is what you would do if you went to the testing site. So we've already kind of seen what this would be with Pearson VUE. No conversing of any form. You're prohibited from reproducing and communicating about it. So that's the same as Pearson VUE. Electronic devices of any kind are not to be in the proximity. So based on that, you're not even to have them in the testing center at all. So before, you just put it in the locker. So I'd be questioning whether you're even able to have your cell phone on you at all. In this mode, no personal items should be brought into the testing centers. We'll be responsible for any personal loss and all these different things. You must present identification. So this is the exact same thing. So that's what I'm telling you. PSI is Pearson VUE. It's not the same company, but don't get it twisted. PSI is not going to just inherently become a way better company or be a better testing environment for individuals. So the juicy part is the remotely proctored exams. This could be a positive step. However, what does this actually look like? So if your sponsor allows the online availability, which they're going to be able to do so, you must have a webcam, speakers, microphone, stable bandwidth internet connection, and you want to go through the capabilities. So based on that, you have to provide your own webcam, which could be a financial burden and responsibility. Speakers, meaning you have to not be able to do it on your phone, so you have to have access to a computer or laptop, which is another financial barrier based on that proximity. You need to have stable internet, and as we know, not all internet has the same strength. So again, I'll get into that within my discussion pieces, but let's say you're at home taking the exam on your internet. You thought you had good internet, and the internet cuts out on you mid-exam. Guess what? Your time is still going to be ticking, or you could have to surrender the amount of money that you just spent on the exam. In addition to that, you're just going to have a chat responsibility with an administrator. You're not going to have live communication with them or anything along those lines. So based on that, it's basically through a chat function. We need live communication because if something goes wrong, who's going to be responsible? I can't type, or if I'm in distress, I'm not going to be able to explain what's actually going on. And there's no conversing or any form of communication, which is going to be permitted during the exam. Of course, you're not having full-blown conversations, but you all know if you're an auditory person, you want to read the question out loud. That should be a fair accommodation. But they're saying no communication at all, so you have to be a silent film, which is taken away from one of your superpowers, which is auditory learning. You're also prohibited from reproducing. That's A-OK. The exception of the testing machine, electronics, and recording devices of any kind should not be in your proximity. So you're not able to have your cell phone or anything at that moment. You're also going to be asked to scan the room, and there's a video down here that I can link this page down in the description of it. Walks you through, but it's essentially just having you painted around your room of what your room actually looks like. So based on that, they're going to be very involved within your testing environment, but you're also not able to have any drinks, any boxes of Kleenexes at all, or any items on your desk. They must be removed. But if you remember during the Pearson VUE, they allowed for you to have a scrap sheet, a pen or a marker, a whiteboard that you could write stuff down. That is now going to be absent from the exam if you do your own proctoring at home. So that's a piece of the equation that's no longer going to be available. But also, keeping in mind, there was accommodations where you could go into the lobby and you could eat and drink food. Those are no longer going to be available if you're at your own home. Why? Because they're going to think that you're going to the kitchen and you're going to be brewing up some answers. So that is going to be something that you want to be mindful of as well. In addition to that, the license, which is okay, you're required to conduct yourself in a professional manner. So there's no abuse against the proctor or anything. So that's a-okay. You must be there 15 minutes prior to the initiation, which is A-okay. You may not exit the camera view at all. So you have to be like a stone soldier within your box. So if you waver any bit, they may think that you're cheating. So you go do a stretch, they're like, you moving? You cheating? So you want to make sure that you're prepared for this particular circumstance. You also want to make sure your hands are visible at all times. So you might be like, so an uncomfortable position as well. So that's what I'm telling you. I like to be thorough and explain things out, not just, this is an option. Woo! You need to not just take things at face value. You need to examine and analyze whatever information is being provided to you. And again, here's a video on what it actually looks like, but I'll link that down in the description as well. So based on that, we want to make sure that we truly understand what this transition is going to look like. And what that is that the PSI is going to replace Pearson VUE. There's going to be a scholarship program that is going to be available for people that have taken the exam multiple times, but there also is going to be potential online proctoring. But also, there's going to be a blackout period of the exam. So based on this, a couple of thoughts that I have, and I kind of introduced them before, is how is the scholarship going to be allocated? How much money is going to be put up and dedicated from PSI and ASWB? Because imagine if you've taken the exam multiple times, you apply for the scholarship and they're like, nope, we don't have any more money, or nope, you don't qualify, or you don't have the right criteria to meet this circumstance. And it's going to be more oppressive than potentially beneficial. And again, they're going to give more information on how this is going to be done. I just tend to come from like a more pessimistic lens of, okay, if something's going to occur, how is it going to be done? Because I know financial burden is a huge matter, but at the same time, how is this going to be executed? Because the ASWB, they're getting cashed out multiple thousands of dollars that they could have done their own scholarship program for the longest. So why are they waiting for PSI to end up doing this as like kind of a publicity thing of like, just forget Pearson VUE. PSI is helping you out and paying for your exam at that given moment. But also, how are these things going to be sorted out? Because as I was stating before, programs can be initiated, but are they going to be abandoned over time? Because imagine if you are not eligible to take the exam just yet, and they run out of money for that scholarship fund, and then you're not financially able to take the exam, you're going to feel like you kind of got cheated out of it. So again, once you start implementing something, how is it going to be maintained? Because I want people to not have the financial burden of having to take the exam multiple times. I want people to have assistance, but I want to make sure that we have transparency on how these funds are actually going to be done. In addition to that, at home can be helpful. Why? Because other professions already do at home, other professions do this, but as I was stating before, is people's Wi-Fi going to be strong enough? And is there going to be appropriate adaptations and accommodations for that as well? Because exam interruptions can occur. So if your Wi-Fi cuts out, because I was doing a thought-provoking Thursday just yesterday, and the internet just boom, thunderstorm, or just randomly blew out. So if I'm taking the exam, my nerves are going to be shot like a gun, and I'm not going to be able to stay focused on the exam because I'm going to worry that I'm going to fail the exam because my internet cut out. Or if somebody comes home and they're disruptive and they're loud, because they also don't let you have headphones at all. So if you remember in Pearson VUE, you could have your earplugs or headphones on. So if you're somebody that gets distracted by things around you, you're going to lose that option as well. So making sure that we understand and are critical of things, and that's what's in the Code of Ethics too, is you can be appreciative of the field, but you want to be critical and think about what changes and implementations actually mean for the profession in general. So based on that, you have to buy your own webcam. So that's a financial situation that you have to pay for. You have to buy a mic, or if you don't have good enough speakers or all those different things, because a lot of people be repping and rocking with just their cell phone. So you have to get a computer, which could be a financial burden. So again, a lot of times people are like, man, the testing site is stressful. The testing site is distracting to me. But this online proctoring thing could be even more distressful at certain circumstances. Because I know that testing sites can be distracting and can be triggering and traumatizing. But at the same time, the online proctoring could add the same burden as going to the actual exam. Because if you find it difficult to be examined by people, or if you feel like people are watching you, or you're going to make a false move and they're about to take you down type situation. So being mindful that the changes are helpful, but I want you to be mindful that it's not all going to be roses and everything is going to be awesome and great. So making sure though, you don't think the exam is going to get easier. Because if we think about it, the exam changes that they've made so far is the highlighting. You have a strike-through feature. There are 3 answer choices, not on all the exams, but by 2025, all of the exam questions are going to have 3 answer choices, but now they're changing to the different testing sites and also providing a potential scholarship fund. So we're not leaving out all the other changes that they're making, but as I stated in my other video, the changes that they're making are not as profound as people think. Because when changes happen to the exam, people think this is going to be easy. They're going to make it so much easier for me to go on the exam and just rip its heart out. But when you go on the exam with your mind made up, your mind is going to make up facts to determine how you actually act. So making sure that you're mindful of what's going on. Because as I stated before, if you're doing the online proctoring, you're not able to read the questions out loud. You're not able to mouth the answers or the question out loud. So that's going to be a disadvantage to people that learn in that particular manner. They're also going to make you stay in the room. You don't have access to food. You don't have access to tissues. You don't have access to drinks. You don't have headphones like you would have been offered. So making sure that you're making the right decision for yourself and not just doing it because it seems convenient. Because at the same time, it's not that you're able to just do it in a place that makes you feel comfortable. It may be more anxiety provoking at that given moment. So making sure that the changes are in your mind, but don't let it make you lose focus on what you need to do, which is understand what are the areas that make you feel good? What are the areas that make you not feel good? How are you breaking down these questions? How are you getting to the answers? What are some things that you're doing that are going to help you become the best possible version of yourself? Because a lot of times, people, when they're studying for the exam, they lose themselves and they lose what they thought they should be doing. I was talking to somebody the other day that's like, man, Phil, I'm ready to give up. And I've taken the exam multiple times. I've failed it. I'm not even sure if I can get this done any longer. And it's like, but how do you know? Every exam is a different opportunity and situation. So don't get lost in that process. So that's what I'm telling you is, don't let these changes make you change who you are. Don't let these changes make you think that you aren't going to have to give everything that you got to this exam. Don't let these changes make you get distracted by the fact that you still have to go in the exam, become the best possible version of yourself, and kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. So the changes, again, are not that profound. PSI, taking Pearson VUE's spot. Potential scholarship fund. We don't know how much money. We don't know where it's going to be allocated. Online proctoring, which is going to be available later in 2024. So if you're planning to take your exam, don't wait. Do the dang thing, get it out of the way. But also making sure that you are making sure that you're doing the best thing that you can. And that's what I'm telling you. Is you want to do the next right thing for yourself, but don't get distracted. Don't let the ASWB make you think, you know what, I'm your friend. I'm doing things for you. They ain't never going to look out for you. They ain't never going to do things to make it easier for you. You got to do the next right thing for yourself. Continue building yourself up. Keep doing the next right thing. And keep doing everything that you possibly can, because the exam's not getting easier. They're just making the aesthetics look a little bit different. But the only thing that you got in your control is to do what you can do. How are you going to break down the questions? What are you going to focus on? And never lose faith in yourself, because as long as you believe that you can get this done, at some capacity, you're going to be able to achieve it. But once you lose belief, you're going to leave yourself out into the dust. So that's what I'm telling you. Keep doing the next right thing. Keep doing everything that you possibly can. And then if anything that I can do to help you, drop me a shout, send me an email at berda24@gmail.com. I'm going to get back on the game and get things rolling. Again, with the house, there's been a lot of adjustments, a lot of schedule changes, and to be honest with you, it's been kicking my butt, but I'm going to keep doing everything that I can and keep doing everything that I possibly can. Keep doing the next right thing and building myself up, because like I said, I got a lot of changes coming up. We have the baby shower for the baby coming up in September. Baby's coming in October, so I'm going to try to give you guys everything that I got while trying not to lose my sanity. From the bottom of my heart, appreciate every single one of you guys. You need anything, drop me a shout, send me an email. Keep building yourself up. Keep doing the next right thing. Go to the exam, kick it directly in the chest to get the job done. I'm getting out of here, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. And peace out, guys.